What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Rent This Flip That, and today we are building a wall. That's right, we were doing a floor over here and the customers asked, hey, we already have 2 doors in the living room and they're going out to the back deck and really don't have a need for this 3rd door out here. Plus my husband would love it to be a solid wall. Is there any way you can take that door out and build a wall? Yes, we can. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be removing this door right here and going through all the steps that it takes to get this door out and what we're going to have to do to get this wall put in. All right, here we go.
The first step is to remove all of the trim. I make sure I cut the caulk line so that way I don't tear any paper or paint during the tear out. This helps prevent having to do more work later.
There actually is something that I think is going to be a little bit weird, and that is it's pretty common to have 2 switches when you have 2 doors and you're coming into a room from either side. You want to be able to turn that light on from either side. However, this is going to be a solid wall right here, so even if you put your bed up against this wall, you'll be able to turn the light off from in bed. There's a switch right here. All right, there's that. Alright, so it's going to be hot once I get this door out, so we're going to have to work quickly because the AC's on and I sure don't want to cause any issues with that. But I think the easiest way to do this is to take the doors off the hinges and then remove the framing in pieces, is to try and remove a 6-foot door. So if that's the plan, here we go. Alright, so here we are, we got the back door, and I'm just going to go ahead and take off this piece of brick mold. Looks like it was wrapped in metal, but you can see the door was pretty rotten down here, so something needed to happen, whether we put a wall in or we replace the door. It was time, and this threshold is about done. So. There's a screw up there. There's a screw there. So if you ever have a situation where your door is leaning too much to the end, you can take a long screw like they've took this 3-inch screw, drive it into the trim, and that'll suck the trim and the whole hinge assembly and everything over to the stud that's over there, and kind of rock it and pick it back up this way so the doors close a little bit more square with each other. Boom! Alright guys, check this out. So you can see how this stud is in the wall. This is the exterior sheathing right here, and then this is the stud, of course. And so over here, there's a whole lot more of the stud showing, so that's okay. I still want to see a little bit more of it. So what I think I'm going to do is just make me a level line here and cut this where I can see about 3/4. Otherwise, I'm going to have to slap another stud up there just to make sure I'm holding my sheathing. And I'd rather try to use as little material as possible. That way it lowers the cost for the customer, and it may add a little bit more work for me, but still, you know, I'll be able to put a piece up there on that header, because I really don't want to go through cutting all of that off. I'll cut the line down here, and I'll cut the line down here, and then I'll just slap a stud up there, slap a stud down there on the floor, and basically just build a wall. All right, that's the plan, and that's what we're about to do. Alright guys, so we got the door tore out, we got all the trim tore out. I put a bunch of screws in the floor here to suck it down, make sure it ain't going nowhere. That band probably needs to be replaced, so I'm not going to drop any screws in the outside band. That way coming back later, they'll be able to put it in there. And I see the floor joists are running in this direction right here, right? And what they did was this last joist right here that you can see, they turned the joist this way and they still put it on 19-2 centers, but they can't leave it at over 4 inches. So what has happened is that band that's sitting out there, that's not green plate. That's just hanging out there over top of it, and the weather has gotten to it, it's leaked, it's started to rot, and it's starting to give right there. So we're not going to put screws out there towards the edge. I brought them in because these joists are now running this way. I was able to get 2 in each one. I should probably come all the way back because they're starting to get a little bit of a hump where it's falling down in the back there. But we're going to try to get this wall up and get these studs in here and get this thing closed up so the air conditioner doesn't struggle for the day. So, and that's my next move, is to go ahead and cut some studs and put them in the wall. So here we go. Okay, earlier we had talked about putting a stud up there, and almost changed my mind because, you know, if the studs are running this way, the drywall will be able to catch it on each stud, and so will the OSB on the outside. However, wherever there is not a stud, I'm going to have that air crack. So I'd rather just go ahead and put a stud up there just for peace of mind, to stop some of the wind from coming in. And of course later I'll probably put some house wrap on the whole thing, courtesy of Habitat for Humanity. All right. So old Fat Max is getting worn out, huh? A lot of the coating's coming off. Be a good excuse to go get a brand new tape. 74 and a 16. 74 and 3/16. Alright, so I cut it a little snug. It's because I don't have a helper. She's out, Kellie's out gathering materials and other things we're going to need for this job and other jobs. So, cutting it a little bit tight. It's like having another person there to help hold me. Oh, man. There actually is a joist there, so that's good. And of course I can see where the other ones in there are, so I want to make sure I get into those. Okay, and now one thing you definitely can do is you can lay out your top plate and your bottom plate while they're on the ground. However, mine was like 74 and a 16th and 74 and almost a quarter. There's a little bit of a difference top to bottom there. So I just went ahead and put them like this. I'll use a level to level the first one, and then I'll just pull my layout off of that. All right guys, and now generally OSB and sheathing tends to go up and down when you're putting it on the house, and drywall tends to go side to side. Since this hole in here on the inside is smaller than 8 foot, it doesn't really matter how I lay it out. However, I want to make sure that if I'm going to be using full sheets going up and down on the outside, that at least that 4 foot section breaks on the edge of my plywood. So I'm going to try to lay this out from center here, just going 16 inches. That way when I put the plywood up, it'll break in the dead center at 4 foot over on the other side. All right, here we go. So now I don't want to hook the stud there. I want to go from the dead center. And I'm just going to mark the center of where 16 inches goes. And that's it right there. So since that's the center, I'm going to come back 3/4 of an inch and mark 15 1/4, and that will let me know where the edge of my stud needs to go. In fact, I'm even going to square that off. Now when we did framing, we would go ahead and either hook the side of the wall and go 15 1/4 and then 31 1/4 and so on as you're laying out your 16s. But when we're laying out rim board and that didn't work out, we would pull our 15 1/4, drive a nail, and then hook it and go 16 inches, 16 inches, 16 inches. So now that I know I'm going where my edge of my board is, I'm going to hook that line and go 16 inches, not 15 1/4. Does that make sense? Because from here, from the center of that plywood to there, it's going to be 16 inches right there. So hooking that and going 16 inches. And as you can see, when I put this on there, my 4 foot, it lands right there in the dead center of the stud. All right, so there you go. Stud goes on that side. right, right here I have tight 79 and 3/8. 79 and 7/16. So it's literally, it's a 16th. Can't be mad at that. All right. All right, guys, so I got the first stud in. I got it on my layout down there. I used my level, 6-foot level. It's the most accurate. And I got it up there where it needs to go, so we're good to go on that. So I'm gonna screw that in. And like I said, I can pull off of this stud now, 16-inch that way, and make sure we're dead plumb on all these studs. That's the next step, so here we go.
Now that I had all the studs installed, it was time to start installing the OSB sheathing for the outside. And since I laid my wall out on perfect 16-inch centers, it was a breeze installing it. As I've stated, now I have torn insulation out of walls and ceilings and floors and things such as that, but I've never actually installed insulation in the wall with paper on it all by myself on a job from start to finish. So there was a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. One thing I can tell you as far as experience goes with this job is when you're taking your measurements and you go to measure it on the paper, make sure you pull the paper all the way out. Mine had a couple wrinkles and I just measured it out, but once I pulled it tight, I was able to get 3 to 6 extra inches out of each roll, and I could have used that on the very last roll, but I made it work. As far as what to install it with, I happen to have a hammer tacker because I need it for my flooring jobs. But anyway, if you don't have any and you happen to have some button caps laying around, you can use that, or you could just break down and go buy some roofing nails. They have a nice big flat head and I'm sure it will hold the paper just fine. Well, after I got all the insulation hung, it was time to install the drywall. This wasn't too hard. I know when you're doing whole rooms, you might want to start with the top sheet first and then do the bottom, but I was only doing a doorway and filling it in, so it was okay to start at the bottom and then do my rip at the top. Besides, with one person, it's a whole lot easier. Alright you guys, we're here at day 2. I've got the first coat of mud on, which is the tape layer. And so I'm about to go mix up some mud and get this thing drywalled for the last 2 or maybe 3rd coat if needed. And that's it. That's how you build a wall. Hope you guys enjoyed today's presentation and I hope you learned some or at least got some kind of value out of it. If you did, help us out by smashing the like button. That would definitely help the channel grow. And also, if you want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing and becoming part of the DIY family. Alright guys, oh, and don't forget to turn on notifications or they won't send you all the notifications when we put out videos. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one and we hope to see you on the next one. Until next time, take care, stay safe. Peace.